A Halloween Massacre, an original novel by Jeremy Terry. Chapter 16, Chase. The shape moved from shadow to shadow along the school's corridor, not hearing the echo of faint voices from further down the hall, but instead the murmur of the voices inside that said he was very close now. He gripped the butcher knife's handle tighter, his heart quickening at the thought of what was about to happen. He would kill little blonde Tommy and dark-haired Lindsay and all of their friends. Then he might leave Haddonfield behind for a time. Lori was out there waiting for him, and he very much wanted to meet her again. There was a door to his left, and he walked through it into a science classroom. Beakers and Bunsen burners sat on desktops beside sinks built into the desk surface. He stopped to study the plastic skeleton in the corner for a moment, before moving to a closed door at the rear of the room. He walked through and found himself inside a small office, decorated in an eclectic style. Posters of rocket ships and strange men wielding laser swords hung alongside those showing the periodic table and diagrams of molecules. A desk covered with a haphazard spread of papers and empty candy bar wrappers stood in the center, and there was another door beyond it. The shape glanced at the door and heard the voices laugh. They were there, just on the other side. He walked to the door and gently turned the knob. The door wasn't locked, so he passed through into another office that adjoined the first. This office was different, clean where the other was cluttered, professional where the other was juvenile. Two large windows flanked the door that led to the classroom beyond, where several figures sat hunched together on a pair of couches. He saw Tommy and Lindsay. They were so close now. The shape took a step and then froze as someone groaned nearby. He looked left and saw a young girl dressed in a cheerleader uniform sleeping fitfully on another couch nestled against the office wall. He glanced back to the windows, saw that Lindsay wore the same uniform. So this was one of Lindsay's friends. He crossed the office and stood over her, watching as she began to toss and turn in her sleep. She held out a hand as if warding off an attacker. Had she woke? No, her eyes were still shut. He could see them rolling frantically in their sockets behind her eyelids. "No," she moaned. "Get away." She would draw the other's attention if she grew any louder, and the shape did not want that. He raised his knife over her, aiming for her heart. Suddenly the girl's body went rigid, and her eyes popped open. She stared in utter horror, not at the shape, but at something only she could see. She arched her back and loosed a guttural, gurgling scream as 4 parallel slashes spontaneously appeared on her chest, cutting through flesh and bifurcating bone to reveal the flayed organs beneath. Curious, the shape thought, tilting his head to the side. For just a moment he thought he heard sinister laughter filling the room around them. "What the hell was that?" called a male voice from the classroom outside the office. "Oh shit!" yelled a female voice. "Annie?" The shape turned from the perplexing sight as the office door was opened by a boy in football pants and a jersey. 3 others crowded behind them, all staring in shock at the dead girl and the shape. He saw Tommy and Lindsay, started for them. The football player slammed the door, and the teenagers fled screaming. It didn't matter now. There was no one who could help them. The shape followed after. Sally sprinted up the dark hallway towards the noise, her .44 Magnum in hand. She didn't care if the policemen didn't want her help. They could cuss her out later after everything was over and everyone was safe. A classroom door burst open to her right, and Tommy and 3 other teens shot out in a panic. She reached them, grabbing Tommy by the arm to keep him from bolting. He recognized her and clung to her like a drowning man. "What happened?" Sally demanded. "Which one is it, Myers or Sawyer?" Tommy opened his mouth to answer and screamed again, pointing to the open door as a bloodied Michael Myers emerged, holding a dripping knife in his hand. Sally didn't give him time to come closer. She raised her gun and fired it empty. The bright muzzle flashed, temporarily blinding them all. She blinked, trying to clear the stars from her vision, and heard Ed's gasp behind her. "No way, dude," he said. "That gun would stop a Mack truck," Jason echoed from her right. "That's fucking impossible." The haze faded, and Sally saw what they saw. Michael was getting to his feet, his black eyes locked on Tommy and Lindsay. The revolver was in her hand, and was empty. She touched her pants pocket where she stowed her spare rounds, and knew she didn't have time to reload. "Go!" she shouted, as she spun and pushed the teens ahead of her. They went, and she sprinted after them towards the end of the hall, and into the lunchroom. Ed's led the way behind the serving counter into the dark kitchen, where the nearest exit lay. Sally glanced back over her shoulder and saw Michael striding after them. He didn't run, yet he stayed close. How was it possible? Ed's ran into a set of double doors at the back, rattling the handles frantically. "It's locked!" "I know how to open them," Jason said. "Move!" Sally walked by an open door on her right and saw the body of the idiot state police officer who had refused her help just minutes before, pinned halfway up the wall by a knife in his chest. She paused in the doorway to look for his gun, but it was nowhere to be found. The holster on his duty belt was empty. She started to step inside the room, but was called back by Lindsay's scream. Sally looked back over her shoulder and saw Michael's hulking frame filling the doorway, leading back to the dining room. "Oh shit!" Ed shouted. "He's here!" "Get the door open, man," Tommy said, his eyes as wide as saucers in his fear. There was a wooden block full of knives on the counter near the stove. Sally yanked a small knife free and brandished it at the attacker. She heard a click behind her, and then Jason was yelling, "It's open, let's go!" Sally retreated backwards towards the group, unwilling to turn her back on the blooded demon that haunted their every step. Cool wind blew on her cheek, letting her know she had passed the threshold out of the building into the dark night. A hand fell on her shoulder, pulled her around. It was the football player. He pointed out across the rear parking area to a large factory on the other side of a vast fallow field. "That's the old textile mill," he said. "It's huge. I bet we can hide there." Sally looked right towards the edge of the school building. The main parking area and street were that way. They might be able to flag down a passing deputy or get back into the school by another entrance. She opened her mouth to say so, but the words died in her throat as heavy footsteps sounded right behind her. The teen saw the shadow drawing near and fled before it, leaving Sally no choice but to chase after them into the field. Michael came on behind them as unstoppable and inevitable as the rising sun. Chapter 17. Between Two Killers. Loomis was at a loss as he stared at the members of the DeStefano family, owners of the Strode house. All was quiet and had been all evening. No ghoulies or ghosties had gone bumping their night. "We are missing something," he thought. "Where would you go in Haddonfield if not to your old home, or Laurie's? Where are you, Michael?" "Are you sure this is really necessary?" Mr. DeStefano asked. The man was shorter than his wife, and his normally kind face wore an exasperated expression that seemed ill-fitted there. He put an arm around his two small children, who stared up fixedly at the doctor and lawman in their home. The little boy on DeStefano's left side still had the shadow of his Halloween makeup beneath each sleepy eye. "Yes," Deputy Hunt said as he helped Mrs. DeStefano stuff clean clothes into a suitcase. I'm afraid it is." Mrs. DeStefano sighed. "Why would either one of those escaped loonies even come here?" Brackett, seeing that Loomis was about to start monologuing, stepped between them and put a hand on the young mother's shoulder. "Please, just trust us." He glanced over at the two children meaningfully before turning back to her. "It's not a story we should discuss right now. Just trust that we have your family's best interest in mind and that we would not inconvenience you unless we thought it was absolutely necessary." Mrs. DeStefano considered his words for a moment and then nodded. She and Deputy Hunt started packing again. Brackett stepped away from them to join Loomis in the corner. "Sorry to interrupt you before you got started, Sam," Brackett said with a grin. "You know how you can be, and those kids didn't need to hear the whole sordid tale. They'd have nightmares for years if they knew." "Perhaps," Loomis said. "I do have a tendency to go on a bit. You seem to have something on your mind. Care to share?" Brackett glanced around at the peaceful home, shaking his head. "Something isn't right. Someone should have seen one of the bastards by now." Loomis frowned. "I'm afraid someone already has, and it isn't around to tell us about it. Michael doesn't appear to be following the pattern he did before. He hasn't gone home, and he hasn't come looking for the object of his old obsession. Lee, what if he has found another?" "Then God help them," Brackett said. "What about the other one, Jed Sawyer?" "I don't have a good grasp on him. You said you researched him on your way into town earlier? Can you guess where he might have headed after he left the TV studio?" Loomis considered for a long moment, starting to speak and gasp as the radio on Brackett's duty belt crackled into life. "Sheriff Brackett," said a garbled voice. "Come back, Sheriff Brackett." Brackett met Loomis's gaze, and Loomis saw the same fear he felt reflected back at him from his friend's eyes. Brackett pulled the radio free and keyed the mic. "This is Sheriff Brackett. Go ahead with your transmission unit calling." "Sheriff," said the voice, "this is State Police Officer Martin down at the high school. Myers was just here. It's a fucking bloodbath. He killed 3 of our guys and 2 students." Brackett ignored the profanity. "Where is he now? Do we have eyes on Myers?" "Not at the moment, sir," Martin said. "We have a witness who reported that Myers was seen chasing a woman and a group of teens towards the old mill behind the school." "Roger that," Brackett said. "Get on the radio to dispatch and advise them to have all available units en route to the old textile mill off of Shallow Creek Road. I'll meet 'em there." Brackett hung the radio back on his hip and started off towards the front door. Loomis ran after him, his heart in his throat. "Does this mean we can stay here?" Mr. DeStefano called out to their receding backs. Tommy sprinted across the cracked gravel parking lot outside the benighted textile mill, gasping for breath and sure that he would die in the dirty old place. Lindsay and the others ran just ahead of him, urged on by Sally Hardesty. Tommy took a chance to look back over his shoulder and stumbled over his own feet. Michael was 50 feet behind them and coming on fast. "Not like this," Tommy thought. "I can't die like this. The boogeyman can't get me." Tommy got his balance and ran through the huge building's open front doors into a large lobby. Broken chairs lay scattered about the space, threatening to trip them up and send them down one final time to meet gruesome, ghastly death. He saw Sally move, heard a click as she turned on the small pin light she'd pulled from her shirt pocket. She played it around the room, spotted another door, and pointed. The teens followed her, all wheezing, all nearly spent. They came out in a long hallway with doors opening to their left and right. Peeling paint hung like flaps of flayed flesh from the walls and ceiling. Mounds of filth covered the floor, the detritus of forgotten decades left behind for the ghost that might haunt the derelict factory. Tommy heard the front door slam against the walls as Michael burst into the lobby and felt his blood run cold. Sally led them on, checking each doorway for somewhere to hide, and finding each room devoid of even the merest cover. Something had to give. They couldn't run forever. They turned a corner into another long corridor, the echo of their footfalls like the steps of an army, masking the sound of their harrier. Tommy looked ahead, thought he saw something, and then felt hope bloom in his chest. "I see a light in the room at the end of the hallway," he shouted. A light meant other people, and other people meant help against the monster that chased them. They redoubled their efforts, pushing their bodies to the breaking point. They reached the door, ran through, and skidded to a halt in abject horror. There was someone there, all right, but it was the last person any of them would have wanted to see at that moment. Jedediah Leatherface Sawyer stood near the Coleman lantern he'd stolen from the two dead drunks. The two men's butchered bodies hung from the hooks Leatherface had mounted on the nearby column, their entrails and skin piled on the ground underneath them. Oh, his face, Tommy thought. That's not a fake mask. He skinned someone's head to make himself a new face. "Back!" Sally cried, shoving the teens out into the hallway. Tommy felt like a rabbit caught in a trap while a wolf crept close. There was nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. They were running out of time. A dark shape moved into the corridor ahead of them, and they all skidded to a halt. I was wrong, Tommy thought, as Lindsay took his hand in her right and Ed's hand with her left. We're already out of time. The boogeyman stood staring at them from 40 feet away, his butcher knife clutched in his large hand. They turned back and saw that Leatherface watched from the doorway behind them, his chainsaw in hand. We're trapped, Tommy thought. Trapped between two killers. Leatherface saw Pretty Sally and the group and then glanced past them to Michael. The thing inside that made him what he was growled a challenge across the space as he brandished the saw, thinking, she's mine. Michael stared back, seeing Tommy and Lindsay. The voices inside of him answered the challenge. He raised the knife, thinking, they are mine. The two monsters started forward. Sally spun, spotted a door to her right, and rushed the others through. They found themselves in an open space with a set of stairs leading up to an office 25 feet overhead. There was no other door in or out of the place. Fuck it, Sally said, starting towards the stairs. Climb up. Lindsay went first, dragging Ed's and Tommy along by their hands. Jason came behind them with Sally at the rear, urging them on faster. The sound of the chainsaw revving to life in the hallway outside sent a wave of goose flesh cascading over her body. Let them fight, she prayed as they reached the small landing at the top of the staircase and turned into the office at the top. Rusted lockers lined the walls and cobwebs hung down like party streamers from the sagging ceiling tiles. A warped wooden desk leaned in the center of the room, one leg broken by the weight of years. They would be found in a matter of seconds, no matter where they tried to hide. She pulled the last 6 bullets from her pocket and reloaded her revolver. Please, she prayed, let them kill each other, please. God, let them kill each other. Chapter 18. And the winner is... The two beasts charged each other, met in the center of the hallway like a tsunami crashing into a cliff. Jed raised his chainsaw over his head and brought it down, intending to cleave Michael in two from the top of his head to his groin. Michael feinted back, dodged the first swipe. Jed swung it back, and Michael caught the saw's chassis in his big hands, sending his knife clattering across the floor into the dark. Jed howled with incoherent rage, and Michael started silently back. "This is my home," Jed thought. "You won't take it from me, and you won't take pretty Sally." Something inside him rose up, snarling and baring its fangs like a wild animal defending its territory, and the voices in Michael's head responded in kind. Michael twisted his powerful hands, nearly stripping the saw from Jed's grip. Jed bore down, trying to force the taller man down to the ground, where he would be able to finish him easily. Michael locked his knees and would not bow. The saw swung wildly, its chattering metal teeth nearly scalping both men. Jed pushed, trying to bring the saw down on the center of Michael's face, but Michael was ready this time. The shape stepped back with his left foot and spun, sending Jed sprawling on his face and the chainsaw flying through the air. It struck the wall hard enough to crack the housing, and then tumbled away down the hall to grind to a halt. Jed tried to lift himself up and grunted as Michael's booted foot slammed into his ribs, driving him back down onto the grimy floor. Michael kicked his shoulder, stomped the back of his head, intent on beating him to death. He raised his foot again, and Jed rolled away and made it to his feet. Fresh, warm blood trickled down the back of his neck beneath his still damp new face. Michael had hurt him. He didn't intend to let him do so again. Jed charged forward like a bear, seeking to grab, suffocate, and squeeze. Michael ducked away nimbly and lashed out with his foot again, kicking Jed in the knee. Pain bloomed immensely as something inside snapped like a rubber band. Jed howled with pain, felt powerful blow after powerful blow fall on his back. He collapsed in a heap under the onslaught and felt something hard pressing into his side. It was his mallet. He rolled over on his back, pulling the large hammer free, and swung it in a wide arch. It struck Michael's thigh, driving him back far enough that Jed was able to gain his feet again. His injured knee was a ball of fire raging beneath his flesh, and it did not want to support his weight. He howled in blinding rage and pain and waved Michael on with his free hand. The shape feinted to the left, right, and then ran directly at Jed. Jed swung the mallet, striking Michael's outstretched left hand and shattering bone. Jed followed this with a kick to Michael's kidneys, sending the shape to the ground for the first time. Jed hobbled forward, bearing down on the fallen killer, but Michael was too fast, and he rolled to his feet. The shape held his broken hand up before his face to look at the crooked fingers and swelling palm, and then he looked back to Jed, his normally impassive black eyes flashing with anger. Jed grinned and laughed. The shape's anger burned hotter still, and he ran towards Jed, meaning to bring him to the ground and smash his brains out on the dusty floor. Jed pivoted on his good leg, dragging the other behind him, and slammed his mallet down on the back of Michael's head. Michael went down like a felled tree and lay still. Jed eyed him for a long moment, and then gabbled in triumph. The fight was won, his new home was safe, and he would soon have his hands on the pretty girl who had caused the death of his family. He stepped forward, his mallet raised to deliver one more blow. Michael twisted and thrust the butcher knife he'd fallen on up at Jed, plunging the blade deep into Leatherface's stomach. Jed stumbled back against the wall, clutching at his bleeding wound, whining like a hurt child. Michael got to his feet and stood over the humbled figure. He lifted the knife, prepared to carve and skewer, but stopped as the light faded from Jed's eyes. His whining quieted, and he grew limp. The voices in the shape's head saying the victory was his. This other was defeated, and there was nothing and no one else to stand between him and his prey. He walked up the hallway slowly. There was no reason to rush. He turned into the room they had fled to, saw that there was no way out, saw the stairs climbing to the office above, and started forward. Okay, Slash-a-Holics, this has been chapters 16, 17, and 18 of A Halloween Massacre, the original novel by Jeremy Terry. Wow, a lot of stuff to unpack here. I did not expect Freddy to get a victim in this book. That was really cool, Jeremy. Nice throw in there. And, you know, it wasn't like forced or anything because she had mentioned the stuff about Elm Street and Freddy before this, so it makes sense that he would still be following her in her dreams. I loved Michael's confusion when that happened. I thought the chase was intense, the bullets, you know, not doing anything. And of course, when they got to the textile factory, I knew the fight was going to be brutal, and it really was. It was intense. Michael and Jed both got, both got their licks in. Losing my voice here. But in the end, you know, it wasn't like one of them was all powerful and the other like lost completely. They both got some really good hits in. You know, Michael just manhandling Jed, and then Jed getting him with the hammer. I was kind of hoping Michael would take a chainsaw wound, but you know, it's fine because the fight was great. It was intense as well. I really thought that Jed had beaten Michael, and I was expecting Michael to win. But I thought that was going to catch me off guard, you know, that Jed was going to be the one going after the survivors after this fight. But yeah, brutal fight. Jed, is he dead? I don't know. I don't think Jed's dead. We'll find out. But I myself, who have not read this entire book yet, I'm enjoying it, reading it as I go. As you all are enjoying it, I'm enjoying it and hearing it, or reading it for the first time as you're hearing it for the first time. But yeah, I don't think Jed's completely dead, you know. I feel like Sally needs to have a moment, you know what I mean? All this build-up, Sally needs to have a moment where she fights Jed or does something to Jed. And I'm sure, you know, that's on a lot of people's mind. But yeah, thank you so much, Jeremy, for writing this book and letting me narrate it. It's been so much fun. There's only one chapter in the epilogue left, so the next upload of this will be the last, and then I'll get the unabridged version out. I'm also narrating Murder Report. It is quite a bit longer than Halloween Massacre. That's why Halloween Massacre is finishing first. Most likely will finish first. And I'll be start putting out narrations of Friday the 13th Primal very soon. That's going to be fun. As I write the chapters, I'll release them as narrations. Been storyboarding it. I've got some fun stuff for sure for that one. Yeah. Let us know what you thought of tonight's chapters in the comment section below. We love to hear from you. If you haven't done so already, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and consider supporting the channel. There's so many ways to do it. You can join our Patreon. You can become a YouTube channel member right here on YouTube. There's lots of cool stuff you get with that. You can order a cameo video for $7 right now, I think, is what it is. You know, any voice, any character I've done, whatever, birthday, anniversary, message, whatever you need, I can do that on Cameo. Or if you want to make a one-time donation to the channel, you can do so through PayPal or Cash App. All the information is in the pinned comment and description below. You can also order one of my books on Amazon in ebook, paperback, or hardcover. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Celestial Slumber, and Friday the 13th Quarantine are both on there for the time being. I've gotten versions of each of them, and they're very crisp, really nice heft to them, really good quality. Right now, if you order the paperback and the hardcover, you get different covers for both books. So that's pretty cool too, like a little collector's thing. And or if you just want to enjoy, read the books without having a physical copy, you can get an ebook very cheap. I think they're like $3 a piece for the ebook. But I'm not charging much at all for the books. Barely making anything on them. Just mostly want to get them out to slasher fans that enjoy them. And also, anytime now, Jeremy Terry is going to have the Halloween Massacre available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and hardcover. So keep an ear out for that. I'll be announcing it on the channel. And once he has it on there, I'll put the link to that and all the uploads of this book and the unabridged version as well. Okay, Slash-a-Holics, until next time, this has been your friendly neighborhood 80s slasher librarian saying, thanks for listening, be excellent to each other, and I know it's crazy out there, but do your best to stay sane inside insanity. We'll see you soon.
Of the night, with tales of horrific might, Josh spins his airy weave in the stories we believe. Freddy's in my dreams, Chucky's silent screams, Jason's lurking near, Michael feeds the fear. I'm a slash-a-holic, addicted to the fright. Narration so hypnotic, Josh keeps me up all night. Eyes and masks and pain, blood runs like the rain. Evil finds its way in the spine-chilling fray. Out of breath but not out of light. Horror digs, don't look behind. Feel the terror crave. Will you dare to slay? I'm a slash-a-holic, addicted to the fright. Narration so hypnotic, Josh keeps me up all night. I'm a slash-a-holic, addicted to the fright.